Join us for a review of the BMW X4 M Competition. Let's go. Now to the front. Well, starting with the X line, with the normal BMW X4, we get LED as standard headlamps then, and optional adaptive LED lights. This is the highest option then. Beautiful daytime running light signature then in this case also. The X4M has this bigger front double kidney, also with the dark or black design and with the vertical fins right there, X4M badge. 4.76 m, 15'6" or 187 inches is the length of the BMW X4, and usually it comes then starting with 18-inch wheels, but here the X4 M Competition would go up to 21-inch wheels. However, today we have 20-inch wheels with winter tires mounted, therefore the tires look a little bit bigger also. Let's see also what that changes in the driving behavior. The new generation of the BMW X4 comes here with these new horizontal tail lamps, and I think they're really more modern and more beautiful. Overall, the rear is a little bit sleeker than. But then again, the X4M Competition adds here this black rear wing, together with a massive diffuser in the lower part, honeycomb structure right here, and then the sports exhaust. 1, 2, 3, 4. What do you think about the sound you heard so far? So what we have here today is the X4M Competition, 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, 510 horsepower, 4.1 seconds is the acceleration figure, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. Wow, that's of course pretty impressive. The non-competition model is at 480 horsepower, 0.1 seconds slower, if you can say so. Now let's take a look at the interior. Here carbon fiber inserts for this M Competition model, very beautiful. And also other than that, instead of the doors, soft touch, everything from a great quality. Here you also get these M Competition entry badges. Then steering wheel with the distinct M mode buttons. You can program them what they are supposed to do actually to give the car a little bit sportier touch. And then that left side here for the cruise control, right side to start the voice recognition system or for the volume, for example. Then the X4M only comes with animal skin seats. You can see these sports seats here, they look amazing, really cool as for the form. And here also with the M Competition you get these illuminated badges inside. Well, for the base X4 you also get more sustainable or animal-friendly materials. In Europe, for example, fabric and the fabric mixed seat, and especially in the US you get the Sensor-Tech in black and beige. So especially for the sportiest versions I would have wished some microfiber or fabric seat mix, because then you don't slide on them too much also while driving sporty. Now getting inside, of course, as always with a shoe tap, get the interior clean. Well, here the seating position is upright, as you know from an SUV. But it's a little bit sportier if you have compared it to the X3, because the A-pillar is flatter here. But if I put the seat in the lowest position with 1.86 or 6'1", there's still enough headroom left, plenty of. Now to the interior, soft touch material here, the dashboard, beautiful. Then you have the carbon fiber inserts here for the sporty models. That's also really cool. You still have a separate climate unit with this turning knobs, and I really like to have that special shifting lever. So interesting is that for the driving mode you put it to the right side, or for the sports mode once again, neutral and then rear. So it's a little bit imitating it would be manual. So the top part here is for changing transmission modes, and on the left side you also have different settings here. For example, all for the suspension when you want to put that manually. And with the steering wheel you have these M buttons right there. You can set them as separate customizable hotkeys. You have shifting pedals here, which feel quite good, and then the digital instruments. They are, let's say, half digital, half analog, because the outside parts there, the aluminum, let's say, rings, they are analog, but on the inside it's all digital. And then we can also rev it up, for example, here. Yeah, here we go. Rather a classic style, but I somehow like it. And when you turn them off, it looks like this. And when I then open the door as well, then you can see that they actually disappear. You have this operating software here at the moment, but the latest one is supposed to be coming as well. But this one already has the Apple CarPlay in a wireless way. Let's listen to this optional Harman Kardon sound system, which is really nice surround sound. And here you can see how you can configure your M settings. For example, right there, what you want to have it as for the M1 button. As for the rear, there's also soft touch at the rear inside of the doors, so that's good quality-wise. These sport seats here are quite voluminous, therefore they don't also leave too much legroom. Here, you see, it's still okay for 4 tall adults, no problem, but not more. Well, you flip the logo here to open it, 525 to 1430 liters. So that's a little bit less in liter figure than with the BMW X3, but just a little bit, because the liter figures are measured actually below this top cover here, which you can also remove, by the way, better with 2 hands, of course. Welcome, my friends, to the BMW X4 M, Thomas's active driving lounge. We'll pull it here with the first M button, everything in the sports gauges. I'll reduce the speed a little bit for you that you can get more of this acceleration. We start at about 50 kilometers an hour, so like at 25 miles something, and let's accelerate out. That's 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles. Very impressive. Very even acceleration from this all-wheel drive. Wow. Smooth but yet very powerful. Nice engine sound. This 3-liter 6-cylinder engine is superb. Not only in the M version here, but also in the normal base versions. What a great engine. And here, of course, delivering even more performance, being tuned from this software. But it can also be quite efficient as well. More to that later. Wow. And car is still very stable here. Of course, not as stable as a sedan or something would be. So here I have to fight it a little bit. Here we go. And also with winter tires, So when you're driving these high speeds with winter tires in an SUV, you maybe saw also that the car was, moving just a little bit more as a sedan would do with especially with summer tires. So of course, always pay attention to that. In this sports mode, also the suspension is a little bit stiffer than. You can all individualize it as we shown you in the interior part. You want to go down there, guys? There we go. Peugeot 206cc. Funny little car, right? Not being built anymore for ages, but definitely really funny. Yeah, this hardtop construction was also a tricky thing. So you can always go back to the comfort mode again. Then a little bit easier to roll here just, but wait a minute, that's a tunnel. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I really love electric vehicles. I have no problem when the car does not have any sound, but I mean, when we have a sound here now, why not listen to it? Well, and here we go. Whoa. Now we hit high speeds. Yeah, you feel the winter tires definitely. They're swinging a little bit too much. And again, the winter tires are also not laid out to have like these high speeds. And you do realize it's an SUV. So yeah, I mean, it's impressive how sport they could get it. But then again, at some point, you can't also deny the genes for that. So a true sports car would be a little bit calmer than here in this high-speed corner, definitely. But still a lot of sporty fun you're having here. Yeah. That's also how city driving is sometimes, you know. Also Jaguar F-Type. Soon also Jaguar F-Type facelift here in Autogefuel. Well, yeah, I mean, you can also drive actively in the city. A little bit, of course, you have to be calm, watch your cyclist, don't exceed the maximum speed inside the city, but accelerating out in a sporty manner from the traffic light, yeah, sometimes why not? That's why we are also still car enthusiasts, you know, like sentient car enthusiasts, but yeah, somehow it's still in the blood. Well, and the thing is here, also inside the city, I can, for example, use the cruise control and it keeps up the speed then as I want it. And I can also activate or deactivate the lane keeping assist, but that wouldn't be, you know, a big factor when driving here in the city. The thing is here, I was starting in sports mode, but usually I would go back to the normal mode because here in the city I want to drive a little bit calmer. Unless the next traffic light is on red, for example, I can go back to the sports mode again, just using this shifting lever. Yeah, I mean, we can also then change the different transmission modes. So in this case, when I'm switching to the sports mode, it goes also a mode up in the transmission mode. Well, when you go back, it really kicks you in there. But you know, the normal transmission mode is usually also just fine and already quite sporty. And there's really so much things you can do then. Here again, then we know with this M button, which you can individualize, or then the second M button, which you could set to an even harsher tone, but most of the time it's not really that relevant in the city. Especially also, I would leave the suspension on comfort. Yes, you know, the suspension is adaptive, but still it is of course stiffer and rougher than with the normal X4 cars. However, I do feel, maybe it's the combination also 21-inch and summer tires versus 20-inch and winter tires, which we have here. So you can also get the summer tires 21-inch, that's the stiffest combination then. But here then, riding 20-inch with the winter tires, that is better to sustain. And now to the conclusion for today with the BMW X4 in general, and here especially the BMW X4 M. Well, this new generation has massively stepped up the game into the interior build quality. That's the most significant change when you compare previous and the new generation. The exterior is a little bit more modern, and especially the rear has a better design now. I think looks a little bit sleeker than before. Well, the offering of space on the interior is not the best, but somehow also okay. Again, the interior build quality is good. Sadly, they do not offer any animal skin alternative for the M version, but in the normal versions there are European market either fabric seats, and on the US market also Sensatec seats available, which are more sustainable then. Infotainment system wise, of course not the most upgraded version here yet today, but the upgrade is also in planning, I heard, when you get a newer model for that. That you also have the option. And X4 versus X3, well, the thing is here really, as for the design, one disadvantage is of course when you're in a basement garage that it doesn't open that wide for that it opens too wide actually with the X4, and the X3 stays a little bit lower. As for the rear hatch, that could be a problem. And of course, if you want to load in higher things, then the X3 has an advantage. This one here, the sportier approach, then also when you sit on the inside, you always feel that a little bit. Well, and then the X4 M here today, really sporty of course. The 3-liter 6-cylinder is a great engine. It can be driven, as I said earlier, also in a way, you know, in an economical fashion. But then of course a sportier tune here today, so impressive what they could do with an SUV. But then again, you know, it's still a higher SUV than a sedan, and especially when you drive it with winter tires, it's, you know, in comparison, a little bit more swimming like the sedan on the road, but still pretty cool how sporty you can drive even though you are in this mid-size SUV. What do you think about the X4 in general, and especially to the X4M? Please leave us your comments, and see also at other X4 and X3 reviews. We'll link these down in the video description, and also to some of the competitors. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys.